Welcome back to another episode of Make It Plain podcast, where we discuss current events and we also connect them with Bible prophecy as we look at the various headlines which are going around, they're trending even now, and seeing the relevance that they have for us today. I want to welcome all of you who are joining us right now, those who are going to join in a few seconds once you see this live appear on your phone, on your computer. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, STS family, first-time visitors. So Make It Plain podcast. We have another great subject lined up for you today. I'm Jared. We have also Andrew, and we also have Richard. Gentlemen,
man, let's go.
Ready?
I thought you forgot us.
Never.
Okay, go
Never.
Let's get into it.
That's it. So we're talking about, again, this system of totalitarianism, which is corralling us, and how mass surveillance, it is here, and it's not going away. It's here to stay. We're going to talk about cameras, flock cameras being set up here in the United States, and we're going to talk about even the system of surveillance going on in the Europe, old world, even here in the new world, how the entire world is being surrounded. So let's start off with these flock cameras. If you've never heard this term before, we want you to pay attention as we go through a few headlines and also play a few clips, because chances are you've driven past one. It says right here, New York residents, Kentucky residents push back on proposed flock license plate reader cameras.
Yeah, so again, they're styling it as, something to help prevent theft from vehicles, because again, they can scan the license plate of the vehicle and tell by the data if this vehicle belongs to the person or if it's theft or stolen or what have you.
Correct.
Right? Let's go into the article here just to give some context. It goes on to say Newport residents packed a town hall, so they had a town hall meeting here specifically in this state to weigh in on whether the city should keep license plate reading cameras that have been in place on a trial base since last year. So this was on a trial. Now they're actually rolling it out in much more of a larger scale, right? Globally, well, much more nationally in the United States. And it says, it lists in the next paragraph how many flock cameras have been up in operation in this specific area here. And it says residents raise concerns about privacy, right? And potential for expanded surveillance. So that's what we're going to dive into. Notice what it says here. I trust our police, one person says. I don't trust flock, the resident says. I don't know why on earth our city would want to be on the bleeding edge of extremely controversial surveillance technology. It's interesting how some of the residents actually see what this actually is. It's creating a surveillance state. And we know exactly we know exactly what the moneyed men and the globalists, the tyrants as it were, are trying to create, even leading up to the year 2027, 2028, leading to 2030. We know what their agenda is. So you see how it's starting from a small scale, neighborhoods, cities, state by state, and then we're going to see the national to global infrastructure of the surveillance state.
That's right. And I want to go back to the headlines and also a video we're going to play soon, because residents are waking up to the dangers of this kind of camera, this flock camera. And the thing is, we really haven't heard about these cameras on mainstream media, as it were.
That's a good point.
A few articles out there, a few headlines, but there wasn't a massive, all right, guys, now flock cameras are going to be implemented. So stay tuned to what they are. But some residents who know what they are, the headline tells us here, people have been damaging these cameras because they say, hey, we don't want to be surveilled like this. From this headline, police in the Carolinas respond after flock cameras found damage amid public debate. So people are cutting them down. They are dismantling, destroying this property. Let's take a listen. Right after this, it says how flock cameras wrongly tracked me for days over stolen plates and sent the police after me.
This was a very interesting one, because just some backstory, he's actually writing this article in a first person type of setting. He's telling the story as if he lived it. And he basically says that over several days, they used the flock cameras to surveil the specific vehicle he was in. I believe it was a Range Rover, and the police thought it was stolen. And so they were tracking him where he went, home, supermarket, wherever, to see if he had any kind of criminal activity, to see if he really was. So they didn't necessarily jump on him immediately, but they tried to track his movements. You see how dangerous this is? And by, of course, they found out, okay, he is actually not a criminal in all of this. But notice what they were able to do: track and trace him, and there was nothing really that he could do about it, because this was law enforcement, right? So, I mean, in the article, in that last paragraph, just to give it some context in there, let's put it up, right? Department had been tracking me for days using the camera plates, waiting for the right moment to strike because they thought I'd stolen this vehicle. And the reason I was ID'd as a dangerous car thief was a simple what?
Data error made 2,000 miles away in California.
Imagine that. Imagine that. And the Fox AI camera network was unable to basically handle and recognize that this was an error or not. So he was wrongfully accused of something he did not do. How would that even apply to us?
I mean, we know that God's people, we are going to be wrongfully accused in the last days as when the mark of the beast is enforced, accused of breaking the laws that are for the benefit of society, even, Sunday worship. So this system is being set up right now. Revelation 13 tells us you won't be able to buy or sell, right? That we are going to be killed. Well, what if you are in the country? How are they going to find you? They have to know where you're going, what car you drive, how you maneuvering there. Let's take a listen to this clip. This is a police officer who is, as it were, sounding the alarm on the danger and some of the way that this flock camera operates.
Hello, everyone. My name is Noel Pachado. I'm a ex-cop here in the state of Rhode Island. I'm regrettably an ex-police officer. It's part of the reason why I'm doing one of the strangest things I've ever done, which is talking in front of a camera, in order to inform you all about a concerning trend that's been steadily rising in my state and other states across the country. So in 2021, 2022, my city, the city of Pawtucket, the police department I was a part of, along with other departments in my state, started quietly signing contracts with this new technology called flock camera. It's a surveillance system company run by a man named Garrett Langley. He's the CEO and founder of that company. Basically, it's a very sophisticated AI software that uses a camera system to track and monitor every vehicle that goes by the camera lens. It doesn't require a violation. It doesn't require any infraction. It only requires movement. That's it. And it records the make, the model, color, bumper stickers, you name it, of the vehicle that goes by every single one of these camera lenses. They're quite discreet. If you don't know what they are, you won't be able to spot them out. They're basically put on utility poles at the main intersections in your city if you have them. So to put it bluntly, if you own a car, you're now being tracked. If I could put it plainly, for committing the sin of going to work. This information is shared city to city and even state to state without a warrant. There's no legislation governing this technology. Specifically referring to my state, which doesn't have any legislation governing this technology, even though it's been in use for about 4 years now. And if you're still...
So he's telling you, if you have a car, you're being traced, you're being tracked. And, there's a point that I want to drop on here because, of course, in the grand scheme of it all, the great controversy, we know that in heaven, we have a recording angel. We have an angel that records our words, our thoughts, and our actions. But Satan is a counterfeit. So this counterfeit being Satan, he also has his angels recording our words, thoughts, and actions. And from scripture, why would Satan be doing that? Because he wants to accuse the brethren.
Recording words
and actions. Not thoughts. That's right, because he cannot read our thoughts. Thank you for that.
Amen.
Correct. Amen. So he cannot read our thoughts. Praise the Lord. But he's recording our actions, our movements, because he wants to accuse us. He's called the accuser of our brethren before God day and night, Revelation 12 tells us. And so he's compiling these evidences to, one, accuse us in two spheres. One, before the state, earthly men in the last days, God's faithful people, but also accuse us before God in terms of our sins, Zechariah chapter 3. So we want to make sure, by God's grace, that one, our sins are confessed. We're getting victory over sin. But number two, we see that Satan is using men to use these type of technology now to create a system of totalitarianism to get God's people corralled so that in the last days, which we are here, he can find us, he can persecute us, he can accuse us of doing wrongdoing.
Interesting. And I also see this, it's like a grassroots movement, because you mentioned something earlier and you talked about how look how large scale this is, but yet it's not being covered by mainstream media. And they would have it so. Because when you consider how the papacy in the last days is going to be moving, very stealthily, right? Because we know that everything that's being set up really is setting up America to be giving authority and power over to the beast, the first beast, which is the papacy, Revelation chapter 13, right? So everything has a means to an end. All roads leads to Rome. So this is just a means to an end, a stepping stone for the government to set up its surveillance system. And then when that system is set up, then now it's going to usher in the mark of the beast. But look how stealthily, quietly this is being ushered in. It's like community by community, state by state, and it's not being covered largely, even though this has great ramifications as it relates to our privacy. Because imagine you're driving down the road and you get stopped by an officer and says, I've been tracking you for several days. That vehicle you're driving in, I believe it's stolen. And you're a criminal. Come down to the precinct. What are you doing? What are you going to do?
But you own the vehicle. It's yours.
It's yours.
And it doesn't need a warrant.
Exactly.
It doesn't need a warrant. Look at even the danger of these type of cameras, because they say that AI is going to be smarter than all of humanity combined. But yet we're seeing it's still making errors. Listen to this.
Just got a $1,250 ticket in the mail for having my phone on my lap, face down, and both hands on the steering wheel. Pretty cool.
And this comes from the flock camera technology. So was she breaking a crime there? No. Phone is down, both hands on the wheel.
Right.
But you get over $1,000 ticket now for wrongdoing, which you didn't do.
Mercy.
Do you see it?
Right. The question is, who gets to regulate this? Who gets to regulate? So you don't really have a choice in the matter, but rather you're simply going along as a sheep, as it were, in society.
Let's take another look at this video, and it's going to show you how widespread the flock cameras are in the United States, how much they are increasing.
I mean, just stop it right there. Back on the screen, preacher. You'd have to be blind and lack comprehension skill to not realize that most of these cameras are in the urban, densely populated area.
Right.
Look at those states north of America. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yep. You see it? You see New York.
And
Yep.
I just did a search about flock cameras being in China. Because remember, they told us that China is the model. So whatever you see going on, China is that model. Flock cameras, by that name and company, don't operate in China. But China has its
own
version,
its similar version to it. But China was the one that preceded America with this technology of a license plate reader. Now, Politico ran a piece. Hear what they say about these flock cameras as they linked what's happening in China with what's happening here in America. Let's see how this is going to negatively impact us as Christians. One small paragraph. It says this: the challenge with China is that they are using that technology to target individuals based on their political and religious beliefs.
Why highlight those two?
You see? So those who are thinking, why talk about this? It's on record who they're targeting with this technology over there in the Panda Nation. And now America has adopted its version so we can see the end goal.
Yeah.
And secondly, many of these people who are breaking down these flock camera poles, destroying these cameras, protesting against this technology and how it is being used intrusively, abusively, and tyrannically, they don't see the end goal. They simply see the political, civil abuse of power.
Right.
But do they see the religious component? They don't see it.
Many don't, probably, yeah.
They don't see it. And that's why we need Make It Plain to add that ingredient in the pot.
Yeah.
So they can see the end goal is going to be religious persecution. And this technology and how it's being used is one more layer of barbaric surveillance to come against God's people.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Very clear.
I mean, if you consider again the Panda Nation, it's a communist country, right? And they persecute Christians openly. That's so much so that they're underground. And since America is adopting one of the principles or one of the aspects or tentacles of that surveillance state, such as these flock cameras, you know that every other aspect of the surveillance is going to be adopted. And the end result, as you rightly said, is going to be persecution. As you said, politically and ultimately, of course, religiously. The two, and it's interesting how they mention both of those. Yet there's not really a religion in China. They're
Correct.
atheistic, right? So
Correct.
why target political and religious?
Because the end goal of communism is to suppress religion. Make sense now? And based on end time prophecy, Protestant America with popery will suppress true religion.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the connecting link there.
Right.
It's true.
And if I may, it's not coincidental, but I believe it is intentional. Do you realize ever since the pandemic, these movements leading to totalitarianism, surveillance, control, persecution has sped up?
Sped up, yes. I was as you were speaking, I was thinking that in my mind.
It's as if the pandemic was a watershed moment,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
A turning point
Tipping,
in the history of the nation.
tipping
So from
point.
this point, it's as if final movements
Yeah.
Be rapid.
to bring on the mark of the beast, crisis and system, is now rapid ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
And the biblical example is there. I want to drop this point because when you look at Daniel chapter 6 with Daniel the prophet, while he is there in the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians, there was a law that was framed to where you could not worship or pray to anyone else besides the king. And they framed this law because prior to that, they were watching Daniel. They were surveilling him. They said, we cannot find anything against him except it be against him and his God. So they framed this law specifically for him, knowing that with his firmness to principle, he would be in violation of that law. Then what happened next? He does violate that law, but he was faithful to God's law. Amen. And he continued to pray 3 times a day. And what did? They had a system of surveillance because they were able to see Daniel praying from his house window those 3 times a day. And they sacked him and they threw him into the lion's den. And so what we're talking about now is not just us speculating, but the biblical example is there because what took place even in the Medo-Persia, we see it repeated in Revelation 13, verse number 1 and verse number 2. That first beast, which is the papacy, is a composite beast of the beast we see in Daniel chapter 7. So the elements from the Medes and the Persians will be seen in these last days.
Correct.
Yes.
And if we take it one step further and add one more layer on all of what we're saying here, notice carefully when you look at the other nations and how they're implementing similar technology to use against dissenters and the voice of dissent. We can see how close we are to the end. I want you all to realize when you look at not just China, but you look in America, these technologies are beta tested in other countries. And then they are rolled out in the developed nations.
Right.
It's a pattern. And if you notice, when we talk about flock cameras, it is specifically for vehicles, right? Okay. What technology, not technology, tongue twister, but what draconian policies are they attempting to roll out in America's cities? That's a hint. America's cities, UK cities, is it not 15-minute cities?
Yeah. 15 minutes.
Everyone stay in the
Are
city.
we not seeing what's happening here?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So how are they going to be able to control and to surveil which vehicle belong in which quadrant? You can't leave this quadrant. You can't leave this vicinity
Correct.
with your vehicle. How are they going to track and control and monitor? How?
They must have a mass surveillance system set up to be able to track and trace, and you're going to be numbered. Go ahead.
It reminds me of what Yuval Harari said, which is that we are hackable animals. That last word, animals, is what we're seeing right now because they are trying to put us as humans in a pen.
Correct.
Put us in a fence, in a box. And that's what you do with an animal. When you see cattle, when you see horses, when you see
Correct.
chickens, you keep them in a designated area so you can watch them, you can feed them, you have your eyes on them. They're treating us like that, taking away our liberties, not only here in the US, you mentioned the EU, and around the world. That's what this system is doing, these flock cameras.
And
Do you remember when we covered this several months ago, especially during the pandemic, they had these 50 minutes to this,
yeah.
and people don't even need a vehicle. And the communities, the suburban areas that they were now building, each home didn't have a car parking garage,
No.
because there's no need for a car parking garage,
Yeah. Use a bike.
right?
Yeah.
50-minute cities. So how are they going to control and say you don't belong in this area? Then the flock cameras, and as someone in the chat just wrote, birds of a feather, flock,
Yeah.
flock together. Birds, isn't that Babylon?
Yes.
In Revelation 18,
key.
verse 2,
Hateful
Babylon is fallen,
Fallen.
and is become
The
the
habitation.
habitation
of devils,
and the
cage,
and the cage of every what?
unclean and
Unclean, hateful bird.
Yes.
Birds of a feather.
Yep.
Unclean birds of a feather.
Right.
Flock together.
Interesting.
And the other layer is Christ is the shepherd with his flock. And now they want to what? Control
Yes.
and enslave Christ's flock.
Correct.
Counterfeit.
Humanly speaking. So they need the technology to bring about slavery. Revelation 18
Yes.
and verse 13.
Clear.
It's clear. That's why I said all roads lead to Rome.
That's it. That's it. And we have one more clip on this. A gentleman testifying about the flock cameras.
It's very
My
interesting.
name is Brett, and I've been a Corona resident in District 4 for 15 years. I'm here to introduce DFlock Corona, a community coalition asking this council to cancel the city's contract with Flock Safety and remove the cameras that have been deployed throughout our city. Our website is dflock-corona.org. I'm here because new Flock cameras were recently installed between my home and my daughter's school. So now every time I make that drive, my family's being photographed and logged into a giant corporate database. I want to be clear what these cameras actually are, and I say that with somebody with 20 years of experience in IT. I've served as the chief network architect for Fortune 500 companies. I've designed data centers, and today I work on cloud infrastructure for one of the largest loan origination companies in the country. I'm not speculating on how this technology works. I've read their patents, and I know how it works. Flock advertises these cameras as simple license plate readers. Their own patents tell a different story. They're AI-powered surveillance machines that capture every passing vehicle and person and transmit that data to a private corporate cloud, making it queryable by a multitude of state and federal agencies. The city of Corona does not control that database, and Corona residents have no public record rights against a private company's servers. Our daily movements are being harvested by a $7.5 billion corporation that only answers to venture capital investors, not to us. Flock did not reach that valuation on their per camera subscription fees. That math doesn't add up. The city council should also understand who they're doing business with. Flock's CEO was asked whether the company had any federal contracts. He said no, that was a lie. Public records revealed that Flock had been secretly running a pilot program giving the U.S. Border Patrol access to local police camera data without the knowledge of the cities that paid for the cameras. Now consider who's behind the company and where your data flows. Flock integrates directly with Palantir, a data fusion platform with a $30 million contract with ICE. Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir, is also one of Flock's primary investors. These are not separate companies with separate agendas. They're connected actors that are building a connected infrastructure. Palantir's own CEO stated publicly just this month that his technology is being used as a political instrument designed to reduce the political power of certain voters. And that's the ecosystem that our Corona cameras are feeding into. We're not anti-police at all. We're against mass surveillance of innocent residents by a company with a documented record of deception, built by investors with a stated political agenda. We're asking the City Council to start auditing the queries made against Flock's database, to disclose any data sharing agreements, and to take a vote to cancel the Flock safety contract.
Go ahead.
That was loaded. That was loaded. Again, this is an individual who has been in this industry for over 20 years. He's an expert in the field, and there's so much to unpack there, right? But I want to go back and then we can go forward. Notice who he said is behind the investment of these cameras, right? He said that the math doesn't add up. They could not be evaluated for that much amount of money based on the per capita of cameras being sold. It doesn't make any sense. That means there's a backing, billions of dollars being invested. And who was mentioned? Peter Thiel. We've covered him times past ad nauseum. And he in Palantir have a governmental contract with he has a contract with the government. Basically, his technology is used to surveil as a surveillance technology, his company, right? Here domestically and of course internationally as well. And it's interesting how his company is involved in this because again, he had talked about how he was questioned how his technology is being used to usher in
the
Antichrist.
the Antichrist.
And he said, no, I obviously don't think that's what I'm doing,
Right.
is what he said. But yeah, he's doing the very same thing.
Right.
And that's why he was dumbfounded in that interview.
Exactly.
So, in other words, if we connect the dots, we see the picture.
Yep. Yep.
Because he said, in essence, it's doing it.
Yep. It's exactly doing
But
it.
I don't think that's what I'm doing.
What I'm doing. It makes
The very system is ushering in the Antichrist, and the Antichrist must have a system.
a system.
Right.
That's right.
What jumped out to me,
And by the way, the city's called Corona.
yeah,
It's called Corona.
Yeah.
correct. I was thinking that too. And what jumped out to me towards the beginning, middle of his speech is that, as citizens, you don't have any rights to this private company server. It's a private company who owns these cameras. So it's not like it's the state. The state has a contract with them, but the private company owns them. So how are you pleading, hey, my rights, but it's a private company
Correct.
who
the
has the
state-
data.
And the state can hide behind all the atrocities that the private companies do.
Correct.
Because now, who do you appeal to?
Exactly.
Ooh.
Who do you appeal to?
And this is why
And you bypass any redress of any grievance.
Can't. Yeah, exactly. Can't.
And the government is not going to shut them down.
No,
Right.
you're crazy.
right. And this is kind of the slight difference between countries like China, which are atheistic and totalitarian already. We know that the systems that they're using, the state is probably the one backing it, but they can do nothing about it.
Directly.
Whereas in America now, it's still a system of totalitarianism, but now they're hiding behind the private sector.
And you notice where they said that data was going to be shared, right? It's going to be stored at a data centers.
Correct.
You covered data
And
centers
that's
several
why they're
weeks ago.
building so many.
Yep.
So they have to be able to house all of this data and have access to it. So much so that they have the boldness to say, we want to install data centers at your house, on your house. Look how
Crazy.
bold they are, in plain sight.
And some people will do it just for the money.
Yeah.
But
of
what you're
course.
doing is you're giving them more access to you.
More access
They're
to you.
probably tracking and tracing you right there.
And your neighbor.
And your neighbor.
And your neighbor as well.
And if you notice, if you go back to the money, they say follow the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Yep.
Now, the Palantir is also linked to BlackRock
BlackRock.
and Vanguard. And who oversees the BlackRock and the Vanguard? BlackRock is Larry Fink,
That's right. Yep.
right? Larry Fink, WEF.
That's it.
Welcome to 2030.
You owe nothing.
You own nothing.
Yes.
You'll be a happy slave.
Right.
So anybody who has reasoning ability and is willing to see, they can see the dots connecting and the big picture.
That's right. And even and I know you were going to take it a step further, but who is behind Larry Fink, Palantir,
Okay.
Vanguard? Because Revelation chapter 18 says that they have been rich by the delicacies of popery.
The merchants.
The merchants have been made rich, right? Have been waxing rich by popery, by Babylon.
Correct.
So who ultimately is behind the setting up and the distribution of these cameras in essence? It's Babylon.
And one more Larry. If you go back to Larry Ellison.
Oh, yes.
So-
Oracle.
Okay, so you see, they are in different lanes, but all lanes converge at a particular point for the same end goal.
And we'll-
So the Larry Ellison piece is the data center
The data
piece
centers,
of it.
yes.
The AI center
Yes,
piece of
yes,
it.
the
right?
giga
The
centers.
Palantir is more of the devices.
Yes. Yeah.
It's linked,
Correct.
But the devices, right? And if you come and the technology, if you come back to the Larry Ellison piece, who said, we are going to surveil everybody, and you better be on your what? Your best behavior.
That's Larry Ellison.
That's the best behavior. Best behavior.
And
That's
and
it.
you
That's
cannot
it. It's
make those kind of
controlled.
statements so openly without knowing you have a backing.
Not only backing, preacher man, you don't make those statements unless the system is already
In place.
That's
It's
right.
already in place.
That's right.
That's number one. And number two, you don't make those statements public unless you know it's so far gone, no protest
Correct.
will cause it to
Stop it.
be retracted.
Retracted.
Not at
Right.
all.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
You don't make those statements publicly unless you know you can't stop this.
I mean, it was
Because remember, if we were making these statements a decade ago, a decade and a half ago, they would call us conspiracy theorists. Not Nagosa, a liar tale. Make sense now?
Yeah.
But so the mere fact they are seeing it openly. Listen, we're gonna track you. You better be in your best behavior. Cameras are never off. Huh? You must. We will change behaviors. Larry Ellison and Larry Fink, Peter Thiel.
Yes,
we,
sir.
we will change behaviors.
Mercy.
hackable animals.
Okay.
Mercy.
How do you change behaviors? Do you know if somebody knows a camera is on them
Consequences.
24/7,
Fear.
they're gonna act in a way that will be in harmony with who's watching.
Correct.
That's how you change behavior. Flock cameras.
It's
To watch the flock.
It's called conditioning. It's conditioning. And again, remember who's the model? China. These men have said China is the model,
Yes.
right? And China has now, I mean, since rolling out their infrastructure, they have now conditioned the people. So much so that if you come up, you don't really see much pushback in the Panda Nation with the citizens and its government because they've been so conditioned to accept that there was no protest. They killed the protest if there was a protest in China. But notice,
It's far gone.
far gone. But notice here, notice how they were able to sidestep the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which again protects Americans from unlawful seizures and searches, I believe, right? They can search you out without actually physically being there by these cameras. Remember that video you played with the lady there? There was a picture of her with her phone in her lap.
Right.
You could say that was a search without having an actual physical officer there. And by that simple video or clip, an image, they were able to determine, I don't know how, that she broke whatever protocol or principle and sent her a bill without having a physical officer there. You see how slowly Sister White talks about how every principle of our Constitution will be repudiated. She
yes.
didn't tell us how it's going to be repudiated,
Right.
but it will be.
And it was President Trump and his administration, which gave, I believe it was over $500 billion to invest in Larry Ellison's company.
Yeah, the
Sam Altman.
the
and
Giga Center, the
correct.
largest data center in the world, right?
Yes, that's what they're trying to build. So we see that the U.S. government is giving to these private sectors, these men,
Yep.
the power to build their system.
Correct.
It's right there.
They were correct.
That's right.
Mercy.
So now let's transition over to Europe as we're still looking on the same topic of surveillance.
If I may,
Yes.
let someone think it's far-fetched. Do you realize that during the pandemic, when the government was selling a particular narrative, and there was great backlash and protest, if you notice, the government worked behind the scenes through the media companies to silence the protest. Blacklist
Yep.
platforms,
That's true.
right?
Deplatform, correct.
Deplatform them. So we all saw that. So why would you doubt this? We all saw it.
And-
They were behind the scenes,
And they,
and the companies, the merchants of social media became the hand, the arm of the state.
Yes.
Right?
It did.
Did that not silence the voice of protest?
Protests. Yep.
Did that not repudiate in principle, in part, the First Amendment? So what about number 4?
That's down the drain. Throw that out the trash.
With the cameras. So we're seeing it now.
Throw that
and,
out.
and that's why God told us where to be. Go ahead, preacher.
no, and they also made the social media companies the fall men as well.
Correct.
Because who were the ones testifying in Congress? The same Zuckerberg and the leaders of these tech companies, right? So here you are, we're going to work behind the scenes, you go censor content. Then when it all hits the fan, right? And you have to testify before Congress because the outcry is so loud from the general public, You go testify. You take the fall for this.
Exactly. It was all a farce.
Dog and pony show.
That's it. It was all a farce.
So as we move on to the surveillance, not only in America, but also in the EU. And it says here that the EU has passed Chat Control 1.0. This makes it mandatory for companies to scan private messages and submit them to EU authorities. This includes WhatsApp, emails, Instagram, DMs, and other major forms of communication. So essentially what they're doing is they are going to be scanning through your private messages, your so-called encrypted messages, and they'll be able to determine, based on their rubric of judgment, whether you are in harmony with the law or whether you're not. But the point is, forget private messaging.
Right.
Forget end-to-end encryption.
No
It's
such
gone.
thing. No such thing.
Again, starting here in Europe, but of course we know prophecy swings from east to west.
That's right. And of course, we know that even though that's not isolated. Even though this may be happening around areas here outside of America, it doesn't. Remember, the mark of the beast begins here in America, right? So all we're seeing is just what's the word I'm looking for? Smoke screens of what is to come, right? So even though it's happening in the EU, know that here in America, that infrastructure is already being built, right? Because if the mark of the beast begins here, that means it must already be set up. There must be a system. But there's another article here that is very, very profound. And this is actually from the Society for Civil Rights, Society for Freedom Rights in Germany, right? Again, these are the some of the independent medias that are covering this type of articles or stories that are coming out. Notice what it says. The EU's Commission's proposal provides for a whole range of obligations for certain online services such as internet providers, app stores, hosting platforms, and interpersonal communication services. So these are all the services in terms of communication that's offered, right? It goes on to say that the term chat control is often used colloquially to refer to the EU Commission's draft regulation as a whole. Skip on down to the underlined words. This is a particularly serious restriction on the right to privacy and the protection of personal data. The monitoring is not limited to persons specifically suspected of having committed a crime. Notice those words, not just limited to you who committed a crime. Additionally, unlike data retention, which is also incompatible with the charter, but is limited to metadata, information about the information about who communicated with whom at what time, chat control includes the surveillance of the contents of private messages. So basically, it's the summarizing what this technology is all about. So your WhatsApp messages, your Instagram DMs, your iMessage, whatever tool you use to message, end-to-end encryption is all gone. They're able to monitor and see exactly what you're sending. And remember, this is all coming off of the curtails of the Child Protection Act. Let's protect the children from the pedophiles and the nudity and all of that. So that's how it's being packaged and styled. But within the content of these policies is this very same thing of surveilling your privacy. So it always starts off as something innocent, right? Remember. We were talking about the survey. It'll come to me. I'm kicking it back over to you. It went out of my mind. I just had it.
Yeah, it's as the Bible tells us in Matthew 24. It says that if it were possible, even the very elect would be deceived. And I say that because I believe it was just yesterday. I was on WhatsApp and I was playing around with some features there, and I clicked on something and it says, in so many words, WhatsApp cannot see these messages. It is end-to-end encrypted. So these messages appear and they're telling you, you are safe. We don't even know. It's on our platform, but we don't even know what you are saying. Trust us, it is safe. But yet the media and those who are exposing these draconian policies are telling us there's no end-to-end encryption.
No.
If they want to get in, they can get in. And the safest thing to think about is this: whatever is on the internet, there's a backdoor. Because if you get a new phone, right, you can, if your messages, I believe, are on the cloud. So the easiest way to get your WhatsApp messages from your old phone to the other one, you have to download it from the cloud,
transfer it
to that new phone.
Right.
If it's on the cloud, they can access it.
That's right. Stored stored. And what I was going to say is that it starts off seemingly mild in its intention, but we know that these things are going to grow teeth, legs, arms, and a whole lot of other things. Just as when we covered the flock cameras, they styled it as something that is geared toward preventing criminals from getting away with stolen vehicles. That sounds good on the surface, doesn't it? Who does it want to get? Who would want their vehicle to be stolen? This is great. No, you see, so it's appealing to emotions.
And I want to throw this out on that point. Since the implementation of these cameras and this searching of people's messages, how many more arrests have been made? How has our communities become safer? How has our nations become safer since all of this? It's a facade.
Yeah,
it's a facade. You would think they would catch all the terrorists, as Trump said a few months back.
We know where the sleeper cells are.
We know where they are.
But
why have you not rounded them up? If
Right.
if in the EU, of course, you are scanning all these messages, and of course, we know at times they're doing that here in the US too.
Right. And just another point of reference is that I think we've talked about this briefly, is that usually when the government rolls out something for the consumer, they themselves have a different form of technology that is much more advanced than what they're giving the consumer. So this is just maybe child's play, but what they do have is much more advanced, right? I mean, it was the same thing during the war with Iran, where they used AI to track and trace the Ayatollah. But yet the consumer had a different version of it that wasn't as advanced as that model was.
Right.
You see what's happening here? Oh, man.
We're going to play 2 clips again on this chat control, and they're going to explain exactly what it is and what's going on there in the EU.
Signal posted this on the 3rd of October 2025. We are alarmed by reports that Germany is on the verge of a catastrophic about-face, reversing its long-standing and principled opposition to the EU's chat control proposal, which, if passed, could spell the end of the right to privacy in Europe. The Signal president posted the following as well. Signal strongly opposes this proposal. Let there be no doubt, we will leave the EU market rather than undermine our privacy guarantees. This proposal, if passed and enforced against us, would require us to make this choice. It's surveillance wine in safety bottles. And again, this is about the chat control proposal. Cyber News reports this as well, that Signal threatens to leave the EU if chat control is implemented. The CEO also recently said the following: if we were given the choice of either undermining the integrity of our encryption and data protection guarantees or leaving Europe, we will unfortunately decide to leave the market. So she reiterated her position by promising that Signal will never undermine the integrity of its end-to-end encryption, which guarantees the privacy of millions upon millions of people around the world, often in life-threatening situations as well.
All right, so they're saying, hey, they're guaranteeing this end-to-end encryption. Listen to the next clip now.
Problem here is they want to scan all your messages, every private message, photo, etc. They are going to weaken or break end-to-end encryption. But in typical fashion, the EU politicians themselves are exempt from this surveillance under professional secrecy rules. They get privacy, you and your family don't. Demand fairness. So you may not live in the EU and may not care about this. But the problem is, if the EU implements this client-side scanning, basically, where they scan all your messages, look at everything you're doing on your devices, such as your phone, etc. How long do you think it's going to be before your country implements the same thing? This is a disaster. Terrible to see this happening. I'm glad that Signal are talking about this, and a lot of people are, about how bad an idea this is. As I like to say, it looks like a lot of politicians have been reading this book or getting ideas from a book like this and thinking that they should implement 1984 in 2025. Very sad.
So the point that he said, which is why we're speaking about this, he said, if they're doing this in the EU, how long do you think it will be before they begin to implement it in the country where you are? This movement is going global. That is the crux of Revelation 13. The papacy, the United States of America, they will force the earth to worship. How are they going to do that? They must track and trace. They must surveil.
You know, I sat here for a few minutes and listened and prayed. And I thought about this. What is the solution here? Because what they are doing, we can't stop it.
No.
We can't stop this movement. And one reason why we can't stop it is because it was prophesied to take place. What has been prophesied must run its course, must be fulfilled. So what is the solution? People won't like it, especially those who were born in the 2000s, the late 1990s. They won't like the solution because people who were living a life before 2004, living before 2005, communicating before 2009, know what the solution is. Stop communicating on the platforms. And that time will come. Because Facebook is 2004, launch date. YouTube, 2005, launch date. WhatsApp, 2009, launch date. Are you telling me that we were not communicating with each other
Before that.
nationally, internationally, before 2004?
You go back to them payphones.
Come on now. Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
So that is going to be the solution. Because we can't stop this. We can highlight it, and we should. Because we must show the stealthy and rapid progress of the papal movement.
That's right. That's
Her
right.
sins must be unmasked.
GC.
All of it.
That's it.
So we must talk about this. But we can't stop it.
No.
So the solution is a time is going to come. We won't be on any YouTube
No.
or using WhatsApp to communicate. We won't have to worry about end-to-end encryption. Is it real? Is it guaranteed? Is your backdoor?
Right.
Nothing on no Facebook Messenger, IG Messenger,
Not at all. DMs.
no DMs, none of that. We have to divorce ourselves from these things, and that day is coming. So here's my point now. Until then, what must we do?
Be a-
Now use the platforms for
Aggressive
aggressive,
evangelist.
effective evangelism.
That's right.
Case closed.
That's it. That's it.
We can't stop this. And all the political pundits and the protesters, they cannot stop this. Because the very ones who are rolling this out, they are following a script and a puppet master.
That's right.
They cannot stop this.
And they have a deadline on which
And the
these-
deadline, they all say converge in the 2030s. 2030.
Can't.
2027 to 2030.
2030.
But let me add to this. Which continent is this? Europe.
Europe.
This is the EU.
Right.
So here we have the restriction of data, right? How you communicate,
Right.
right? Text, voice, question. What about money and transaction? Who said recently
Well.
that if we find you transacting over 1,000 euro, you are going to prison? Who said that? This is Ursula van der Leyen.
Was that her?
Yes, Ursula.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
No. It was-
Christine Lagarde.
Lagarde, yes.
Christine Lagarde.
Yes.
Get it right, preacher. Christine Lagarde.
You were commissioner.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? She is that financial head
Yep.
in the EU.
Yep.
You go to prison. So notice, so your freedom to transact has a deadline.
Yes.
Your freedom to transact is on death row.
That's right. Has limitations.
You all missed that.
Yeah. Has limitations.
Everything is going digital.
Yep.
So your financial freedom, you have no other option. It's on death row. And your freedom to communicate without losing privacy, without being curtailed, surveilled, monitored, words and text, data, text, messages, literally suppressed, is also on death row.
On that row.
And as a man is on death row in literally speaking, he knows his date. His appeals are all done. You can protest all you want.
Not going
You
to-
have exhausted all your appeals.
Yep.
Your date is coming. What's your last meal?
No more phone calls. That's it for you.
Bring in the priest, as it were. Death row. Bring in the priest. You mean the same system?
Hey, that's it. Bring
The same system? Bring in the priest, the papacy?
Bring it in. Bring it in. Usher it in. Usher it in.
The Inquisition board?
If it's on death row, bring it in. There you have it.
All these privacies we have and liberties are on death row. And they gave us a date. Welcome to 2030.
Oh, nothing.
Ecological conversion, says the Pope, by 2030. Carry on.
We
Death row.
build the future is built by us. We're building it. They're building it.
Klaus Schwab.
They're building it. That's a very strong point. I notice again, just quickly before we move on. Notice who's exempt out of it.
The elite. The politicians.
the very same ones who
Like
are
the
implementing
leaders.
it and are behind it are exempt from the very same technology they're using to enslave mankind.
No wonder they make careers out of that, right?
Yeah.
They stay in that for a long time so that they can get some of those benefits.
That's right.
So this is Ursula.
This is the EU commissioner, right?
Correct.
Yes.
We could come with a legal proposal this summer. We're witnessing the lightning speed at which technology is advancing and how it penetrates every corner of childhood and adolescence. And the discussions about a minimum age for social media can no longer be ignored, as you all know here in this room. Almost all EU member states call for an assessment on the need for it. At the moment, Denmark wants to introduce one, 9 other member states too. The European Parliament has come to the same conclusion. The question is not whether young people should have access to social media. The question is whether social media should have access to young people.
You see what she's saying there? I mean, not too sure about the semantics as she said at the end, but she essentially says that we are going to take control of social media. But notice how it's styled first for the young people. That's how it begins, because again, it's riding off the curtails of this age verification for young people. It's to protect the children. But notice how she says here now, the question should be whether social media should be for young people.
Has control.
So we're going to regulate social media and the content on social media and what goes on social media, right? And if you do not partake of what we are actually promoting and giving out and dishing out in social media, you're going to be labeled.
It's true.
So if you start to, for example, if you start sharing the everlasting gospel and that does not go along with their agenda and their regulation of social media, you're going to be labeled, highlighted, and thrown in prison. So you see how it's going to be used and turned. And of course, this technology is again riding off of what's coming as it relates to the papacy coming on the scenes.
And this is why we have to have anointed eyes, because this is the European Union, right? But here in America, do you remember a few years back, right here on this platform where we are, YouTube, they actually said that you must now check and decide, label beforehand.
Is this content
For kids or not for kids?
Right.
And of course, there were some people who didn't wade out the water to see what it was. They jumped off the platform prematurely and all these things. But this was one step, one foot in the door, as it were, to say, hey, we're already doing the same thing. We're already preparing the way to make sure that these so-called policies to protect kids really are to restrict your liberties. They're doing that now on YouTube. You cannot label, you cannot upload anything without labeling it for kids or not for kids. And if it's mislabeled, it could be penalties. Again, how do you appeal to them? You have to email, you can't even call them. And they have the right, based on their vague policies, to let your video remain or to remove it.
Or even as well, if you mislabeled it, the reach upon which that video goes becomes limited.
Correct.
Because they have control of the algorithms, either to push out or to restrain and even shadow ban. So if again it's deemed the information or content is not deemed that goes along with their policies, then they can either blacklist you or even restrict that content from going out. So now it becomes regulated in a very totalitarian way.
Hold on. So are we to sit here and believe that these people love young people?
No, you crazy?
No.
Okay, pardon. That these leaders care for children?
Man.
And yet, the man they said died in prison.
Yep.
The e-files. And I'm not talking about electronic files.
No.
The e-files.
Right.
I won't call his name.
Correct.
The e-files.
I think we get it.
And I'm not talking about electronic files or email files. Okay? That man, that billionaire.
That's right.
And we can't have any clarity on what really happened.
Right.
And people going to prison.
So I'm saying, listen.
It was just him and the guy in UK.
That's it.
And we care for children.
Nope.
You see the hypocrisy.
Hypocritical.
It's clear. And, as I sat here again, I think about this often, and that is, if we don't begin to wear social media like a loose garment, we would rather give up our liberties to still have access to it.
That's true.
Because many of the people in this generation did not and do not know life without social media.
Right.
Grew up on it.
That's right. That's right.
You see, they don't know life
Outside
and
of
did not know life outside of social media. So now they would rather go along with the tyranny so they can have access.
Yes. It's
Now,
true.
is that not a mark of the beast principle?
Oh yeah.
Give up your rights
You
in order to.
You can
go
buy
along.
or sell except.
Yeah. You gotta.
And many would rather receive the mark of the beast
and to not be able to.
to be able to buy and sell, to travel and to live. Because in their minds, how can they survive without the system?
Right.
That's exactly what Sister White wrote, that Satan says. This small minority, how can they live outside of our laws? So if we are simmering the pot, the gravy down, right? We're making some stewed tofu. We're simmering it down. It's lunchtime, right? The common denominator.
Yeah.
If we have not learned to live without the system, then we are going to remain in the system, give up our rights, and become slaves in order to be able to communicate on the same platform. So we must begin now to educate children and grown people, that especially for you grown people, that there was life before social media. And do you realize almost all the keys of survival bring you back there? To life before social media was country living.
Yeah.
That's outside of this. That's
Beloved, I recall, again, living in Jamaica, in the city, in Kingston, we always thought the folks in the country were backward.
They're crazy.
Primitive.
We even made fun. You're a countryman. You
Yeah,
come
man.
from the country.
Country, yeah.
Yeah.
You're crazy. You don't know.
And the
nothing.
point here is, if they don't grow the food
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
bring it to market,
Export to market.
we in Kingston, St. Andrew, we in the city starve.
Right.
God bless the little folks, have a one lot plot that, grew some callaloo,
Through some, yeah.
some greens.
Yep.
Makes sense now? And yet the 5 keys of survival, the principles of preparation, bring us back to a time before all of this social media and modernization of the world.
It's true.
Think about it.
Very true. That's
Think
true.
about it.
That's very true.
So if we have become so programmed and acclimated and disciplined to have a life without modernization, we will bow to the system of tyranny. And we're already bowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So notice now, notice my point now. What has God given to us every week to begin to detox us, detoxify mind and body from the system of modernization and tyranny?
Sabbath.
True.
Not the weekly Sabbath.
Oh
Right.
yes.
It's a 7-day
It is
Sabbath.
a detox.
It is. It is.
We must make it plain. I sat here. I'm like, Lord, where's this thing going? What is the solution? It's the weekly Sabbath. But how do many young people, children, and older folks treat the Sabbath? They can't even step away from the modern systems
Right. That's true. It's
to
true.
keep the Sabbath holy.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Okay, one quick qualification. Because I know that, but Pastor, don't you live stream on Sabbath? On YouTube? On Facebook? You see, but you're using it for
event-
gospel
Gospel
related
for
things
for
and
evangelism.
mission objectives, right? But how many people step outside of that and
Yes.
begin to serve on secular things? What was posted from this person and
Right.
that person, their minds, the conversations. God
Absolutely.
gave us the Sabbath
Weekly Sabbath.
as a reset every week. Can you, for 24 hours, live without the system? And if you're breaking the Sabbath every week, you're not ready for no mark of the beast. You can talk about flock cameras all you want. You can talk about the EU and chat
Control.
control.
chat control all you want. CBDC, crypto, all of that, and still become slave to the system. If what we're talking about is not giving the people a practical solution. That's what they need, the practical solution.
powerful, and that's what's necessary in order to get to heaven. Because my mind goes back to, for those who've read it, I believe it's called An Impressive Dream, one of Sister White's first visions, where the people of God were on this path going up to heaven, and the road got narrower and narrower, and it came to the point even where they had to take off their socks, just showing that every part of this world, even down to the clothing, we must discard of.
Like a loose garment?
Correct. And I think it's ironic how that film called Leave the World Behind, it's actually fitting into what God wants us to do.
Correct.
Leave the world behind. And so to do that, the Mark of the Beast crisis is actually a crisis that will force us, for those who are willing and under the banner of God, it will force us to say, man, I want nothing to do with this world. But not only force, really,
Correct.
We're really choosing.
Correct.
We're really choosing,
Correct.
not forcing, but I'm saying it's gonna, if you're faithful to God, you will be, as it were, in a funnel.
Correct.
You cannot do anything except leave the world behind and trust in God.
And listen, man, I remember days back in the day, before cell phones. If you were leaving your house to go find a cousin at a different house, do you know you may very well travel
I miss them.
and get to the house and he's not there? Just tell so-and-so I came by, he wasn't here, I'll try again next week. Now we have a cell phone. Will you be so-and-so at X time? You see, we got to go back there. I'm telling you, and it's going to feel strange. And I want to say this and make it plain. Another reason why we cover these things is to try to awaken the nominal Christians who don't talk about these things. And when the noose, the proverbial noose of tyranny, is not only placed around necks, but it's tightened and there's no way out, at that point it's going to be too late for parents to be mentally ready. Do you know it's a mental battle?
It is.
It's all mental.
Mental spiritual battle.
Because if the mental is right, the physical falls into line. It's going to be extremely difficult, almost impossible at that time for parents to get children ready. Do you think in a crisis you can walk away from this life?
No.
This lifestyle in a moment's warning?
No, you won't be able to.
Lot's wife.
Look at Lot's wife.
Yeah.
Lot's wife.
Yep.
Brother, you nailed it.
That's it.
Look at Lot's children. But look at the contrast. Where were Abraham and Sarah? Where were they?
They had already left the city
Yeah,
behind.
They're in the country.
Yeah.
In the country.
They could not leave the lifestyle alone.
Yeah.
Because remember, both angels said to Lot, tonight.
Yes.
Tonight.
It was a moment's notice. They couldn't do it.
Right.
Huh?
You had to move.
Who do you have in the city? Go get them. Because God will destroy the city tonight. Flee the city. In a moment's warning, they couldn't leave it alone.
Mercy.
And usually when you have to make a decision at a moment's notice, right? Your body's sympathetic nervous system takes over.
Shock.
Right? So naturally, usually it would cause you to be like, hey,
Fight or
I'm
flight.
getting out of here because my life is on the line. But even when their life was on the line, they couldn't let go of it. That's how strong that bond was.
Right. And you can show
That means they weren't hearing the message.
mercy.
They weren't hearing it.
Mercy.
They had stopped their ears to it.
To hearing it, right? And as you mentioned, the mental battle in it.
Yes, brother.
When I just did a cursory research real quick just to see how much people are addicted to social media. Worldwide, 210 million people worldwide, making up 4.7 of the global users. That's worldwide. I had to come closer. In America, 33 million are addicted to have social media addiction. How much of the population do we have in America? 349 million. Let's break that down. That means out of 349 million people, 33 million are addicted. That means 10% of the U.S. population is addicted to social media.
And
this is not something that's tangible. This is a
number is
mental.
conservative.
It's conservative, of course. It's
conservative.
much larger.
Correct.
It's much larger than that.
Correct.
Right. That's a simply a starting
place.
point. I'm sure it's much larger than that.
Correct.
Right. Because again, the purpose of social media, if you're not careful, is to make you addicted.
Correct.
That's why they do it.
Yes.
That's why Zuckerberg was brought into your technology is, and he said, yes, you do, but it's the parents' problem. to regulate that for their children, so they know what they're doing.
And
So
that's
this
why
is-
their children aren't on it.
on it.
Right.
I'm
Correct.
telling you, they don't put their children because they know the ramifications of it. But look at the percentage conservatively of how many people, and that's why it's so important to address the issue that you're dealing with. It's a mental battle. So if the crisis hits, these people, how much this percentage is, they have no fighting chance at all. None at all.
None. I mean, and we have a biblical precedent for that. Lot. And that's why Luke 17 says, remember Lot's wife.
Lot's wife. The reminder, the addiction. Remember
words.
that. Remember. Yeah, it's there. It's there. That's why the brother said, listen, we need to get these people on drugs and video games.
That's it. Yuval Harari.
And where are most video games being played? You see,
Online.
that's the point. Back then, you had to go buy the physical device.
The cartridge
Right,
and all of that.
Or go
Yeah.
to this gaming center or store.
The
and play
arcade
it there.
center.
Yeah.
But now it's online.
Yep. It's online now. Everything is online. And everything is subscription based too. So now everything is literally forcing you to be online.
Right.
And you think, okay, litmus test. If we believe at that point they will flee the system, we are mistaken. Okay, you share this message, this Make It Plain podcast, with the nominal Christians and see how they respond to it. That's fanaticism.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We don't want to hear that.
That'll never happen.
That's extremism. It would never happen. And if so, it's way in the future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Litmus test.
Don't realize that it's happening right now.
And that's why we can't stop this.
Yeah.
So what are we to say? Here is a solution. Are we ready for it? And wear this world as a loose garment.
Very important. You know, we were even talking about earlier that there's a certain group that they reject a lot of the modern technologies that this world has.
Right.
And they're even in the media right now. And listen to this headline, because this headline very well might affect you if you are a faithful Bible-believing Christian. It says here from the Defender, federal court rules against Amish families in religious exemption case. Will Supreme Court have the last word?
Just to read a little bit about it, and just a little bit, friends. You can screenshot this, pause the video, and read it, and dig deeper in it. A federal court, this is federal level now, not state, federal, ruled against a group of Amish parents who sought religious exemptions from the school pestilence requirements for their children. So they've been battling this in court, right? And now the federal court has made a final decision on it, ruling against that, right? Suggests may lead to a U.S. Supreme Court showdown that may determine the future of religious exemptions nationwide.
Correct. So they were setting this precedent for the entire nation
Oh, mercy. Right.
on the
And-
subject of health,
Exactly.
on the subject of inoculations. Okay.
Next article, right? Amish lose bid to reinstate New York's, again, there's another article, reinstate New York's pestilent laws religious exemption, right? They go on to say Amish parents and schools can't force New York to recognize a religious-based exemption to its mandate for school children, a federal appeals court said Tuesday. And it goes on that, they've been battling this out since 2024, and now recently they've made a decision to not uphold that, but literally to, they lost that court battle.
Yes.
So they cannot use a religious exemption to say, I do not want the pestilence prick. You cannot say that now.
I'm not surprised because they have to break this community.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
That's the goal.
They have to break the will and the backbone of the Amish community. You know why? Because they are self-sustaining.
Yep. They're off grid. They're not dependent.
As a majority.
Yeah.
Because you'll always have some folks who have defected,
Yeah.
right, and are liberal. But as a whole,
Majority of
they are not dependent upon the government system. And if the mark of the beast must go everywhere and affect negatively everybody, then you have to entrap as many groups as possible. And that's why they're not going to accommodate their appeal. They have to break this community.
Correct.
And SDAs need to see the handwriting on the wall, the way how the government dealt with the Amish.
Yes.
But it's sad because as SDAs, we do not uphold and support the majority. this view of what they're trying to stand against. Look at what happened during the pandemic. They said, our general conference said, we can't give you all exemptions. You can go and submit your own letter because basically we do that. We do give the inoculations, right? So to each his own, essentially. And the Amish community right now, they have to make a stand. The government is putting them in a position where they must make a choice. Are you going to still uphold this sincerely held belief? Or are you going to bow to us to be in harmony? They have to make a choice. And that's a severe, decided choice. What are they going to do? The same kind of decisions are coming down for God's people today. And that's why we just talked about a few minutes ago, leaving the world behind. God is going to allow this crisis to come to where you are literally between a rock and a hard place. There's no easy option. There's no easy option. If you're faithful that you don't want this health mandate, well, here are the repercussions. Fines, imprisonment, maybe even jail, probably for parents.
Possibly.
We'll see, right? Or you go along and potentially damage the health of yourself and of your children.
Right. I mean, speaking of the ramifications of it, I believe if you read on into the articles, it says that this couple or parents or whoever is involved in this court hearing here, they are actually fined. They were fined $118,000. If all the ducks line up for the government, they're going to be fined $118,000 for going against the policy. So this is what is coming for God's people. So we're talking about the Amish, and how does that relate to me? Again, much of what the Amish do in terms of living lifestyle, Adventists do that, or we should be doing that. Country living, self-dependence, homeschooling, right? Being separate from the grid, off grid, right? Going back to coming off of social media. All of these things we should be doing as a people and leading the charge in that, right? So what's coming for them is simply just a foreshadow of what's coming to God's people in the last days. It's simple as that, right? And what we're showing is that all these events, these flock cameras, all of these things are simply just are just stepping stones. We're following the bouncing ball of what is being set up right now, which ultimately will come to God's people at their doorstep. It's coming. And as you mentioned that question, will we stand? Will we stand? Will we compromise? Right? Did Daniel compromise when he had to stand in the face of that law?
Correct. And also Daniel chapter 1, this health mandate.
The health mandate.
Right?
Did the 3 Hebrews?
Hey, you must eat this king's portion, the wine and the flesh which he drank.
Yeah.
And of course, if they didn't do it, death for them.
Death for them.
And
That's
also for, I believe, Melzar, the eunuch who was in charge of their diet. But they said, no, we're going to prove God. We're going to be faithful to God. They proved him. And as it were, God opened up
door,
a window of blessing for them in that time of crisis. I mean, there was no, if you read the account of Daniel chapter 1, there was no provision for them. There was no out, basically.
Right.
It wasn't said, hey, eat this diet or you have or show us that there's a better option. No, that wasn't the case. It was eat this diet, period. They were the ones who in prayer said, look, no, Melzar, we're not going to do this. We're going to eat this diet, but give us 10 days. God made an out for them. And when God revealed them as fairer and fatter in flesh, they didn't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Because the results spoke for themselves. So God is going to do some miraculous things in these last days for us who are faithful. He's going to open doors where there was only a rock and a hard place.
This here reminds me of GC 607. I had to see if I can find it here. GC 607, and talks about what's going to happen to God's people in the last days as the powers of papacy, of the power of the papacy and the Protestants come together to unite to enforce the mark of the beast. And it says, as the movement for Sunday enforcement becomes more bold and decided, the law will be invoked against commandment-keeping people, just as it is against these Amish. They're being headlined. They will be threatened with fines. Didn't they get fines? Yes. What else? And imprisonment. And some will be offered positions of influence and others reward and advantages as inducements to renounce their faith. So that, as you said, they're trying to break this community. Will they renounce their faith? Correct. Will they be broken? Will they break under the pressure of government inducements? If you do not give up your individual rights or your freedoms and abide by our policies, Fines. It starts fines, imprisonments, persecution, death. It's coming. It's coming.
Amen.
And what must we implement, brothers?
5 keys to survival. Any last words, gentlemen?
5 keys of survival. Amen.
5 keys. The 5 keys, friends. As we were talking about just a few moments ago, we want to give solutions on this podcast. We want to be ones who are not just talking about the issues, but we want to warn people that, hey, when this comes to pass, this is what Jesus says. Behold, I have told you before it comes to pass, that when it comes to pass, ye might believe. That's what we're teaching and preaching, and by God's grace, that's what we're living. So I pray that you would take that as well from these topics today. Let's go back to our prayer closet. In fact, it's the 3 o'clock hour. Let's find ourselves in prayer and ask God to prepare us to be ready to take that stand for Jesus Christ, though we must leave the world behind. With that said, we'll see you on another episode of Make It Plain. God bless you. Take care.